breaking news. I'm not a big dude for endorsements. I don't really care much about endorsements. But sometimes when groups make an endorsement, it's kind of interesting and noteworthy. And I think this is very noteworthy. When it's individuals, I don't care that much. I don't really get into endorsements myself. If someone asks me who I'm voting for, I'll tell them, but I don't really get into like I endorse so-and-so or I have a dual endorsement or whatever. Not really my thing. I just don't care that much about that stuff. But when a group does it, especially when it's a group dedicated to a cause, well, that's a little more noteworthy and worth mentioning. At least that's the way I see it. And Sunrise Movement. What's Sunrise Movement? That's a climate change action group committed to a Green New Deal, committed to a real plan for climate change. And they're mobilizing all across the country. And they're trying to do things in communities. They're trying to do different things across the country to really tackle head on our climate crisis. Well, they made an endorsement, and here's who they endorsed. Check it out. Well, I guess it kind of gives it away because the hashtag is Sunrise for Bernie. This should pretty much come as a surprise to nobody, but let's hear what they have to say.
In the past week, fires have erupted all across Australia, claiming millions of species' lives and killing dozens of people. We are seeing that the climate crisis isn't 30 or 40 or 50 years in the future. It is right now. We need a president in office who understands the immediate threat of that crisis. And Bernie Sanders is that guy.
Boom. Bernie Sanders. They endorse Bernie Sanders. This is not surprising. And I looked at some of the numbers. It was about 76% were Bernie. And then a couple were Warren. And then there were some for, I think, Yang. And there was one other. I think there were a few for Biden, which I don't know. I guess they were just confused. I don't know why they. I don't know how. Yeah, Biden's going to be the guy who plans on maybe having less gasoline cars on the road by 2040. Let's get on board with that guy. The guy who wants to get climate deniers involved, who talks about how we need to work with Republicans, the people who deny climate change. That's the guy. He'll lead us into the future. The guy who's living in the past will lead us into the future. Biden. So anyway, I don't know why. And Yang, I'm not sure either. Yeah, with $1,000 a month, someone will come up with a solution. That's Yang's plan. If you give people $1,000 a month, one of them, they'll come up with something for climate change. Bernie, on the other hand, what does Bernie have? Bernie has a real Green New Deal. Underline real Green New Deal. Because that's what Bernie has. It's one of the, it's pretty much the most aggressive plan that's front and center that has, that has that much momentum behind it. It is the most bold and aggressive plan. It incorporates things from Tulsi Gabbard's OFF Act. It has similarities with that, the OFF Act. It has similarities with the original Green New Deal, which was by Jill Stein and the Greens. And it's put forth by the most front and center candidate. And it's great, and it's pretty aggressive. It's a pretty aggressive plan. It calls for it calls for us to completely get off fossil fuel within the next 10 years. It calls for us to, reinvest in infrastructure, to reinvest in a jobs program, and to have these be sustainable green jobs in solar and wind. So it's a pretty extensive plan. And there was a series on The Intercept that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez championed that kind of emphasizes what exactly it would do. So the Sunrise Movement has made their endorsement. It's for Bernie Sanders. This should surprise nobody. If they would endorse anybody else, my first thought would be that their movement's been co-opted, honestly, because, Liz Warren does not have a real Green New Deal. She just kind of parrots what Bernie says and waters it down. Bernie, on the other hand, has a real Green New Deal and a Green New Deal that is front and center enough that it's in front of the general populace. So Sunrise Movement endorses Bernie Sanders to the surprise of nobody. But that's a good thing.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron? Don't you wanna know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and